around this room, and I see a few of you that I've known for a long time that have been in agriculture for a long time. And Frank, I'm mainly looking at you, there's others. But then I see the blue coats over here. And I get excited when I see the blue coats. A couple of weeks I'll see you all in Washington or in Lincoln at the state convention. But this is the future of agriculture. And you know, we celebrate the past, we celebrate the future, we celebrate what the farmers and ranchers are doing for not only Nebraska, but for the world, and feeding the world. I always enjoy coming to this part of the state. I'm from Grant, and but it's always I enjoy coming up here. It's a different area, raise different crops, sugar beets and edible beans. You have a little different climate, and it always impresses what people do in this area to make their farms and ranches to be a success. And we're here today to celebrate that success. At this time, I'd like to recognize some people that are here. We have from the Scottsbluff City Council, Dave Beckner. Dave, you want? We have from Congressman Smith office, Mary Crawford, and Senator Johan's office, Kathy Nichols. Let's recognize those people. Are there other elected officials that we missed? I also want to recognize Jeff Metz, president of the Morrill County Farm Bureau. Jeff, I believe you're the only president here, county president. But we do have from the Nebraska Farm Bureau Young Farmer Rancher Committee a couple of our young members. Shelley Thompson is our chairman of our Young Farmer Rancher Committee, and is up here at Dawes County. And Stephanie Ruby, I always have to struggle how to say that, but from here from Morrill County, also. Dawes County, okay, I'm sorry. Also on our Young Farmer Rancher Committee, and appreciate everything that the Young Farmer Rancher Committee do to promote agriculture. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Greg Eyeball. Greg, the Director of Agriculture of the state of Nebraska. He comes from the Dawson County area and been in the Department of Agriculture for getting to be quite a few years. First as Assistant Director, now as Director. Greg?
Well, thank you, Keith, and thank you, Jeff, for the role you played in getting this organized and giving us the opportunity to come out here and talk about agriculture. You know, we're very fortunate in Nebraska in that we really, Ag Week's a great week and a great week to talk about agriculture, but we don't have to necessarily wait for Ag Week to be able to have a conversation about agriculture, to have our governor step out and talk about agriculture. When I go to National State Department of Agriculture gatherings with other directors and secretaries from across the nation, many of them are very jealous of what we have in Nebraska, and that our governor talks about agriculture regularly. He recognizes the importance of agriculture in our state, and I think by doing so makes our citizens more aware than many states around us about what the role that agriculture plays in Nebraska's economy and in the day-to-day lives of Nebraska's citizens. So we thank you, Governor, for that leadership role you play in not making us necessarily wait for Agriculture Week to talk about agriculture in Nebraska. But still, we have the opportunity during Agriculture Week to take advantage of raising the awareness, calling attention to agriculture and the role it plays in feeding not only Nebraska families but the world. And so we enjoy taking advantage of that. Another individual that is very important to our state and that does a great job every day, all year long, not just during Ag Week, of promoting agriculture is Senator Tom Carlson. He's chairman of our Agriculture Committee, and we're very fortunate to have him with us. He's from Holdridge, and Senator Carlson, your turn.
Okay. Thank you, Greg, for that introduction. And I'm glad that I can be a part of this group coming out to Scotts Bluff and then on to Ogallala today and finish up in Hastings before we go back to Lincoln. I understand and you understand that agriculture is our #1 industry. And we also understand that in most parts of the state, water is the lifeblood of agriculture. And so we've got a couple of challenges in the area of agriculture. One of them is the management of our water. And having been now in my 3rd year as chair of the Ag Committee, I've gone to 3 Ag conferences in these past 3 years. And speakers at each one of these have said that it's important in agriculture in the next 20 years that we double our production to feed the world. We need to do that in Nebraska on less water. And I think that we're going to meet the challenge and be able to do that. And taking a positive approach and saying that's what's going to happen, just think in the future of what the wealth capability is in agriculture in Nebraska if we can double our production. And our mission to feed the world, if you think about it, there's only, we have the mission of the church, and I think second in importance would be feeding our people. So that's the challenge that we have in agriculture, and we're going to be able to meet that. The other challenge that we have in Nebraska, and more of you are going to become more aware of this as we go along, is the impact that some outside groups are trying to have on changing our way of life in Nebraska. And certainly the main group that we talk about is the Humane Society of the United States. As I talk about groups like this, I want to make it clear that the Nebraska Humane Society, other Humane Society groups throughout the state are basically our friends. We work with them. They're part of Nebraska. And what they do is good, and they're doing their best to help improve our way of life. The Humane Society of the United States would like to change our way of life, and particularly in livestock production. We can't let that happen. And so be very alert to what you are listening to and what you're hearing by groups that would come in from the outside of the state and talk about animal rights, and animal welfare is okay. But I don't understand, in our system, our people treat animals the way they ought to be treated because that's their asset. You don't throw away your assets. And there's always a bad apple or two in the barrel, but we as a state, we can take care of those things. We have the Department of Agriculture, and that's part of their responsibility. We don't need outside interference. And we're going to fight a battle, and we need to win that battle. So when it comes to the Humane Society of the United States or PETA or other groups that don't believe in killing animals, don't believe in eating meat, and believe in animal rights instead of animal welfare, we've got to stop that before it really becomes a problem in the state. We've got to put our groups together and our efforts together. Now, next week in the legislature, we're going to debate 2 bills that they're not going to like. One bill is LB 305, Senator Larson's bill, which establishes a meat inspector in the state of Nebraska, which people that understand anything at all about that bill know that part of the effort there would be to put us in a position where we could allow horse processing. That's a natural resource. Horses die. They need to be put away in a humane way. And if we had horse processing as a possibility, as well as processing other meats, we could take care of that problem. It is a problem. And we don't need an outside group telling us that we can't do that. The other bill that is along that the line of what the outside group doesn't like is CA 40, which is a constitutional amendment to put it on the ballot for you to vote on, that would guarantee the privilege of hunting, fishing, and trapping for citizens of Nebraska forever. Now, people will say we don't need that. Well, it used to be we didn't think we needed that. But I think this is it's a good step. It sends another message to these outside groups. don't come in here and mess with us, because we know what we ought to do, and we'll take care of ourselves, and you just step aside and let us do that. So these are challenges that we're facing in agriculture. We will prevail with your help, and we'll continue to have the #1 industry in our state flourish. And with that, thank you for listening to me for a few minutes. Now, one of the things that's a real privilege about serving in the legislature is the friends that we make. And Senator Harms has become one of my best friends in the legislature. I hope he thinks of me that way, but I think of him as one of my best friends. So let's welcome Senator Harms.